So you've clicked on this video because you want to know, in 5 minutes or less, exactly why reading is actually extremely important in a way that you've probably never heard explained by your English teachers, by booktubers, by your friends that actually do read, because I certainly haven't, and I love reading. And I've been searching for someone to put it into simple words so my non-reader friends can have an inkling of a reason why I actually care that they don't read. That I don't take it as just a simple choice of hobbies, as in saying, oh, I don't play tennis, I don't like boxing. This is fundamentally different than that, and I'm going to tell you why. So whether you're a non-reader who wants to change, someone that used to love reading, that's trying to get back into it, or even someone that reads a lot and just wants to feel good about yourself, buckle up, I'm going to tell you exactly why. The first reason is that reading is high context information. Basically what this means is that reading a book about, say, bears is not the same on any level as watching 10,000 TikToks about the same subject or 10,000 Reddit posts, because those 10,000 Reddit posts will have nothing to do with one another. It'll be one fun fact, and then another fun fact, and then a video, and then some other little interview about bears. But none of it comes together to build really nuanced points or to build to complex information about how bears are distributed and how they live. All of these things are going to be disparate, and they're going to just kind of confuse your brain, and you're going to know a million fun facts, but because they have no connection to each other in a web of meaning and of context, you're going to forget them. This is why things that you actually study and read in books, you tend to remember, rather than the hundreds, if not thousands of fun facts you've probably encountered on Reddit or TikTok that you cannot recall for your friends, even when questioned about a subject that you probably just learned about. It's crazy, right? And this is why you can listen to thousands of hours of podcasts as well, which are much longer than, say, the time you would spend reading books or listening to lectures in a PhD program, and know so much less than that person with a PhD, or even a person who's just simply read a lot of books about, say, Roman history. And this is because books are not only high context, but they're highly efficient. Books, unlike, say, a Joe Rogan podcast or other infotainment, are designed to get the information across as quickly as possible. One sentence flows into another, the sentences are better structured than human conversations. No one speaks like a book is written, because the process of writing a book is the process of making the sentences more clear and more efficient and more interesting and more succinct. Whereas Joe Rogan or other infotainment is literally people rambling. And maybe that's why it appeals to you. You like that they slip a few jokes in. You like that they go on tangents. But if your goal is to actually learn something, it is the most inefficient possible way. If someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson goes on Joe Rogan, they have a 4-hour conversation, and maybe there's 15 minutes in total where they're talking about astrophysics. Everything else is maybe this, maybe that, maybe the topic of the day.
You want me to start out with that?
How you want to do it?
No, I'll do the dick part.
Let's do the dick part first.
Okay, so
maybe they're political takes, and they kind of circle around what Neil deGrasse Tyson actually fucking knows about. I find it really frustrating, and so when I want to look up something, I hate having to look at a YouTube video, because guaranteed that person wastes my time talking about a sponsorship, talking about what they want from me, talking about their personal life. Everything is padded out to fit this other sort of format, like a 4-hour infotainment podcast, or a snappy 10-hour informational YouTube video with good lighting and fairy lights on the background. You know the kind of videos I'm talking about. Compare that to when you read some fucking textbook from 1899 where this dude is just pounding your head straight with the facts of Roman history or bears or whatever the subject may be. This just means you need to have a come to Jesus moment where you realize you're watching Joe Rogan not to be educated, but to be entertained. This is a big deal. Now, the second reason, the more important reason why books are important, is not having to do with how awesome and efficient books are. It has to do with the actual content. And the truth is, books function in our society as the elders of the tribe did in prehistoric times. There used to be, right, elders in a community that remembered hundreds of generations of information about how to hunt, how to track, how to survive, because surviving is hard, and one person can't figure out on their own how to make fire, how to track a deer, how to find a good cave to sleep in, how to make dye, how to make leather clothes. This stuff is discovered little by little over hundreds of generations, exactly like the more complex ideas are for our society. And I think about this in a very similar way. It takes 30 generations maybe to figure out how to hunt a deer. and maybe it takes 1,000 generations to figure out how to put a spaceship into space. But if we don't read, if the information of previous generations isn't conveyed to now, we cannot make progress. And this is what's so frustrating about now, is you see Gen Z, millennials, I'm part of that generation, rediscovering things that people have known for thousands of years. And it's because they don't read. It's because they have no connection to the past. And so we're on a treadmill of trying to figure out things. And this is really dangerous when it comes to politics. If we don't look at the past and see that certain policies literally destroy civilizations and cause famines and destroy families and hurt people, then we're doomed to repeat those same mistakes. And it's so frustrating. This is why it feels like nothing is getting solved. This is why we can't have nice things, because we don't just accept that, okay, we figured out that Western liberal democracy works really well. We're a lot richer than every other civilization that's come before. But if that's in contention, because we haven't actually read about what it was like to live in the Middle Ages, then we have to figure out all again why democracy is great, why the Industrial Revolution was actually a good thing. When these things are in contention, because we don't have any consensus through reading what the past was like and what those people learned, we're just going to be stuck. It makes it very boring too to have intellectual conversations with people that don't actually read. Because, for example, I have a good friend, he's a smart guy, but he wanted to talk about if people were born as a clean slate. He said, yeah, my theory is that people are born a blank slate and maybe through parenting, they learn to be themselves. And I'm just like, I don't even want to talk to you about this because this is a solved thing. This is case closed. We know that genes play a role in personality and brain structure. It's not the whole story, but like this is a settled topic and you want to sit here and rehash it even though this was settled like 80 years ago. It's very frustrating, it's very boring, and it makes a very uncomfortable divide between readers and non-readers when it comes to these more serious topics. In summary, complex information can only be conveyed if there's a high context medium for conveying it, like books. Sentences need to build on each other. A collection of thousands of fun facts is not the same as a book where sentences build to create a very rich tapestry of information. Secondly, books are how civilization talks to itself. If I don't pick up a book and learn what Socrates had to say, I won't understand why democracy exists as it does. I won't understand how we got here. So, if you dare, pick up a book and talk with the elders of our tribe that is civilization. Pick up a book and learn something that you can't parrot at a party in one sentence. That might actually be nuanced and detailed and complex. Because if everyone does this, we can actually make progress as a society. I'll leave you with one little thought experiment. If your phone started ringing and you looked at the caller ID and you saw that it was Socrates himself wanting to talk with you and tell you about his thoughts, about his feelings, about his opinions, would you pick up the phone? If yes, why aren't you reading?